Hello, welcome. It is Monday. It's actually a day off. So when we scheduled this, I didn't realize it was like a holiday. And so it's a whole thing. But you know what? Spending holidays with friends, gathering people around, going around the barbecue is what I assume half of you are doing today. It's what I should have been doing today, but I don't have a grill anymore. So I air fried, which is like a thing, you know what I mean? So that's part, it's good. But we're having a very special episode, Inspired Ink live again. I've been doing these once a month, keeping at least that record of keeping the show alive in some form. And there's always someone interesting to interview. There's always someone big to bring on the show to make every month stand out a little bit. And as we talk about conventions and cons and like everything that people do and creators do, it's one of those things where I'm really hyped and really excited that we have today's guest, because without today's guest, all of us would just be putting these books on just flat surfaces, hoping people could look at them. But we have the main guy behind WHAM stand here. What up, Moose? How you doing, dude? How are you? How's everything?
I'm doing well, Brandon. Yeah, no, thanks for having me, man. Like I've said, I've been looking forward to being on one of these, so I'm excited to do it live. I'm excited to be on here, and yeah, no, man, thank you. I really enjoy, as you said, helping people stand out. That's the name of the game. So.
Dude, how did this come up? I'm sure you get this all the time, but just for the CWS record keeping, like, where did like wanting to create stands for comics, or even just your whole entire 3D printing, like, basically mafia you've started at this point, come from?
So it all started, like, I love telling the story, honestly. Like, it's great. I love bringing it up. I love, just it's great. But yeah, so like I started 3D printing, maybe like 10-15 years ago or so, back when 3D printers were just either like really small or like really just kind of starting to come out, or you had to build your own. Like I was building my own, but it was just kind of a hobby I got into. I think the fact of just having a concept or an idea in my head and being able to make it, was cool. And just the whole idea of it. Like, I think I just started printing Marvel, just like the Eye of Agamotto. I remember printing once in particular. It was fun. I remember it because it was like a 24-hour print and a bug got stuck in it. Actually, it was such a long print that a spider like nested in it for the like however long it took 24 hours. So it was pretty. I was like, dude, I can't really get rid of you now, man. I'll go put you outside or something like that. So but yeah, so I was doing that, and then I started playing that Marvel Contest of Champions video game.
Oh, hell yeah. I played that so much on my phone for a while.
The what? Yeah, did you play it?
Yes. Yeah, I was playing that all the time on my phone. Yeah.
I played it almost way too much, like more than a few hours a day for me. Like there was no days off, so like I played it a lot. But like it was great, man. Like I built a really big community that actually still exists. I wouldn't say I built it myself, but like somebody needed to put the legwork in, connecting the dots here and there and whatever. So getting these people together with these people so they could, make magic happen and stuff like that. So, like it was cool. Like it's like over, like it's like a 30-man, 30-person alliance groups. And there's like 15 or 17 of them when I left that like I was leading, if not, at least part of, or some sense. So that was really fun. But so from that, I was doing like a Patreon, and, I would like design stuff from the game. I remember one of the designs I did was Fantastic Four, but like as Mount Rushmore.
God, hell yeah.
It was pretty fun. I was actually like, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, well, I got to bring that back.
Yeah. Now's the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Right. Now's the best time. But so I digress. So eventually one of my buddies hit me up, XN Comics, Nick. He was like, hey, I'm selling comics online. Like, could you make me a stand? I was like, oh, that sounds great. I could totally do that. I love making functional things. Like that's something I'm good at. I'm not necessarily like good at like modeling, like digital sculpting, but making functional items right up my alley. I started working with a comic shop that was like less than a mile away from my house, that I hadn't really ever been to, but it's been in my town for years, and who sadly no longer exist. They closed recently, but
ouch.
Just working with them and everything like that, I realized there was like a room for my ideas and just kind of more so on and so forth. And the more I kind of like had an idea and I'd sell it, or like, somebody would be like, oh, that's cool. Like I wouldn't really like always want to display my Spider-Man comic or something like that. So I was like, oh, magnets. I could always do magnets. You can take it on and off. Like that's like using magnets in 3D printing is a pretty like common thing. And that was also where the idea WHAM came from. Like, when you slam it on like the front of the comic or something. So it's like wham. So yeah, so and it's a stand, so WHAM stand. So that's where the idea came from. And then yeah, man, it just kind of the more I just kept doing it, and the more ideas I kept having, and the more people asked for things, and I put up a site, and people kept buying stuff. So yeah, so it's almost been about 3 years, and it's been quite a journey. And like I feel like really for the last 3 years, I've really only kind of been, I don't know, I guess doing field research, if one could say. Like I have like a handful of products that I'm finishing, like just kind of like fine tuning that I've had, just kind of dusting them off, getting the idea just fine tuned and everything, and getting it out there. So, and I'm really, I'm making the, I'm just like really starting to like organize and just fine tune everything to get it real close. So, like, so I can actually start, right now my website's kind of, it's a little bit of, I wouldn't say a mess, but like, it's not what I envision it to be. So, but also a lot of things aren't really what I envisioned them to be right now. So they're all kind of like here and there. So I'm organizing, I'm honing it in, and just like ready to just like hit it. So yeah, like WHAM saying where it started and where it came from over the last 3 years has been, it's quite the journey, man. It's been amazing. All the people I've met, all the people I've worked with, all the amazing, talented people such as yourself, it's been amazing, man. So I know you
That's
just
wow. I didn't realize you're on that 3-year mark.
quite the journey on that one too.
Yeah, I didn't realize our timelines were like at that same point of 3 years and whatnot. When was like the month you kind of kickstarted WHAM Stand and like
September is when he asked me.
wow. Huh. That's
No.
insane. So 2022, 23?
2022
Nice. 2023.
in
Okay, cool.
September is when Nick asked me if I can make him a stand. So like I was already 3D printing before that. Like my fiance had a pretty successful Etsy shop, and then Etsy just got really weird with stuff. But I mean, she still has a successful shop, but she was doing really well on Etsy. So I was helping her 3D print stuff, designing things. I design it, 3D print it, she'd make it look nice and sell it and stuff like that. So, so I was already kind of like set up to start doing stuff. And eventually I was just like, I really have to, not that I didn't enjoy making stuff for her, but like, like she would give me the idea, and like these ideas weren't like organically mine per se, so like I was itching for something to do that I could just organically make my own ideas,
Yeah.
And when he asked me for the stand, I was like, oh, perfect. And then like it just kind of kept growing and growing. And like now, like the product I just launched, the showcase and stash is how I'm referring to it. It's just a fun little name, but it's a stand where, like you can have somebody at your table pick up the book, but you still have some behind. So it's still like sitting there ready to go. And also like the idea came from doing a show outdoors. And maybe being a little windy, so sometimes things blow over. Even if you're reaching for something, things fall over, and that's you don't want to have to worry about that kind of thing. And I've done outdoor shows, and frankly, I've avoided them. And when I was talking with somebody at this recent outdoor show, I was like, "Yeah, I've avoided them because of that reason." And then it hit me as I was saying that. I was like, "Bro, you're supposed to be the one making these solutions. So you need to figure that out." So like over the next like 3 days, my brain was just churning, and it's a pretty simple design. In fact, it's actually, I put it up for free. The magnet version isn't available for free, but the just the stand itself is available to print online. So if you have a friend that has a 3D printer, if you have a 3D printer, just download it for free, and you can do it. It's kind of my way of like giving back to the kind of like indie like con tabling community. That's kind of like, that's where I started. That's what kind of gave me the motivation and momentum to continue doing it. So like it's just kind of my way of giving it back to them, because I know that's a tough gig, man. You know, like
Yeah.
you're doing a day job, you're trying to create this, then you're paying for the comic, then you got to lug everything out to the, and, you know, right after work, you know, there's all these ins and outs, and, you know, it's just kind of my way of like just giving back and just trying to be helpful, you know, like sometimes, you know, so many people are like, oh man, I'd love to do it, I'm saving up for this and that, and then, you know, when you are saving up for it, you know, like maybe your dog gets sick, you gotta, you know, pay for meds, you know, like things happen. So like, you know, I try to give back when I can. I try to make things inexpensive as much as I can, you know. So yeah, man, it's been fun, so it's cool.
I would say, especially in the terms of giving back, like you also promote everyone that you make magnets for. I love seeing like your social media posts, how like, especially when you have a new product out. I mean, like even with the Apollo thing you had out, like we never discussed that. You never asked, or I never like was just like, hey, can you promote this? You just do it. You just go out there and you're like, oh, I love this. I'm gonna test this with this, see how it looks. Because you're really getting in the same, I guess, mindscape as creators to be like, okay, well, if I'm looking at this and I'm trying to maneuver it and sell it and like, you know, promote things, how do I feel about how this looks? And if it's going to impress you, you know, we're all going to be hyped about it. And I feel like you just giving back is it's a full circle because you've done small, tiny things like what you just did, or just a social media post with someone's book on it and an emblem, kind of promoting them as well and tagging them. And then all of us like want to add you to Kickstarters. Like we promote you when we table, like I throw the stickers you give us in packages into like, you know, our Kickstarter backers. So it's kind of a fun circle of community we've built. And I love that, you know, you're like in comics, but like not in comics. And it's
For
such a
sure.
cool way to be in the industry
Right.
and be such a vital part of the industry. Like you've leveled up all of our games. Dude, that WHAM stand, the spinner rack, do I take that to every tabling event
Nice.
now? You know, like it's such a vital piece to display. Apollo has so many books. I can't lug every Apollo
Right.
title out there. So I put all of the stuff that I don't have with me, like, hey, we have the spinner rack, check that out. We have those online. And that saved me. Like I would have never figured out how to promote the entire line of books we have while like being sane. I feel, you know, I'd be
No,
lugging three
for sure.
boxes,
No,
you
I
know?
totally get that. You know, like I've, you know, I've run into a lot of people who, you know, like yourself, like have a lot of different books, you know, different publishers or people who are just trying to move a lot of books, and the the things that you travel with are huge. They're bulky. Sometimes they're just kind of fragile, or, you know, it's just a pain to move with them and everything like that. So, yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of where most of my ideas were born from. We're trying to help people. Speaking of XN, there's
Yeah.
the man, the myth, the legend, who started it all. But yeah, so, you know, I mean, that's where it came from. Like traveling, just, you know, I mean, I know I can, and I have so many more ideas of just helping, you know, traveling and things like that. Like, for instance, you know, like you're saying, you have so many different, you know, comics, and I'm also sure you probably have like bookmarks, you got like trading cards. I don't know if you have trading cards, but maybe trading card size things,
Hmm.
stickers, different size books. I don't know if you're even selling like some of these like records. What's his name that Homeboy's making? The
Oh
Dead and
yeah.
Dying hand
Then still
press.
dying ones. Crazy
Dude,
stuff. Cool stuff.
dude, I'm I'm blown away by that one. I haven't even like begin to like gather my thoughts on how I want to express like how to promote that, because it's so rad. But so the next generation of spinner rack is actually like a module, completely like any kind of media you have is gonna be able, like you can stack it. Hopefully, I have it right now. It's kind of a mess right now. It's like 16 different colors. So I don't really want to show it off
Yeah,
right
I get that. Yeah.
now. You know,
Super
just like
prototype.
all
Yeah.
the like kind of odds and ends of like different material I have. But so right now there's two tiers of comics, and then like trading cards on top. And then like I'm pretty sure it can handle, you know, like even more on top. So like, yeah, no, it's just, you know, just growing with the community has been absolutely nuts. You know, like it wouldn't, if it wasn't for, you know, like Apollo and, you know, lesser known comics, that like whole group, you know, I don't, you know, like I think from the start I've always wanted to do a spinner rack, but like, you know, I really didn't have the, you know, I maybe didn't have the motivation, but like more people from there was like, yo, what about this? Yo, what about this? Like just all the ideas, like I got, like I didn't get here all just for my ideas. Like, yeah, people would give me an idea and I would, you know, then kind of further that idea, like it was
Yeah.
collaborative effort or something like that. But like, you know, I didn't,
Like
like
the
one
mic
I'm
stand.
working on right now is gonna, I think it's it's going to be an absolute hit. It wasn't my idea, like the finishing it off and prototyping and all that stuff. Yeah, that's all me. But like the initial idea is not me. The comic stands wasn't even me. It was Nick. So like I it's been amazing. Just the fact that like people are willing to share their ideas and also like just support me and everything like that. So it's wild. It's wild.
Well, you've hit so many parts of the industry that like are really impactful. Like you're hitting indie comic creators, people who are at tables and doing that deal. You have fans who like just want to display their books, or also the fans, like the friends and family of people who create books. It's a perfect thing to give them. Like, I give my dad one, and that way you could always have like one of the books out that's new. And also like with the mic stands, like, dude, that's the part of like the origins of Apollo was being a podcast. So like even the fact that you're handling the mic stands and have these, and I see them on the floor all the time whenever I table. Last year, like crazy, I was running into people who had those WHAM mic stands, and I was like, "That's genius, dude!" Like a 3D printed, it brings back to the OG, it adds some professionalism, like. You kind of changed the game of interviewing and made it more legit and more fun. And even if they have like one of those emblems where they could like slap that on while they're interviewing that person, because that person might be a WHAM stand owner, that just elevates it even more. And I've seen stuff like that. And it's just, it's so cool. It's such a missing component, and all of us are jumping on it. And it's just one of those things where like, it's like printing. How did we do things before this was so accessible,
Right. No, that's crazy. Yeah, no, dude, I totally understand. Just there's a few parts to that. Like, just also when creators, I know it's kind of hard when, being at a show, when you're next to somebody, and even if you're a fan of them, like breaking the ice is like tough. Like it's just kind of an awkward experience. Like some people are just like, "Hey man, what's up?" Like, "Hey, what's going on?" Some people are super chatty and like everything like that. Other people are just kind of shy and this and that. But I don't know how many stories I've heard of people just like being able to break the ice kind of like over like, "Oh, you got a WHAM stand? Oh, I got a WHAM stand." Like, "Oh, that's," like, and that's just, like that's super neat. Just the fact that people can just kind of like bond or just whatever, just over it, and just understand. I get from, they're like, "Oh, hey man, I talked to this guy about your Wavestone. Oh, I talked to this," and like, and then like one time this other like three people were all together, and I'm just like, dude, it's wild to like just see it, like there, and just how far, from just essentially just sitting in my room, be like, "Oh, here's a cool stand, like this will be cool," and now like people are using it at conventions and stuff. It's pretty neat, man. And like just
California based, right? Like you're
no, I'm in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like the area, like a little bit
And
north of
I
Los
only
Angeles.
con on the East Coast, and I have nothing but East Coast people having WHAM stands, and it's just you do have that reach. You go across the country and beyond, and I think that's miraculous because I mean, even Comix Wellspring, for example, like we have a very strong East Coast reach, but like our West Coast reach isn't as strong. But I see you pop up across the entire country, and I know people in Texas use you. I know people like in the Carolinas and New York, and I'm in the DC region. Like it's cool seeing your stretch, and in
Pretty
3 years to stretch that far, that's miraculous. Like
Yeah,
that's
man, people
cool
in
for a small
Canada,
artist.
like I sent one to South
Ignite
Korea.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, somebody else, Scotty Doo, who sells WHAM stand stuff on Whatnot Weekly. In fact, he had a show earlier today that I missed. All right. I've been really trying to organize things, so I'm kind of like one track mind. But where did he send one? The Philippines, I think, or something like that. Like, it's pretty cool, man. I think I sent some stuff to Australia, or like I sent some to a guy who sent some stuff. He got some stuff for his brother, who then went to Australia. So, yeah, man, it's it's gnarly, and I think why, when I think about that, I think lesser known comics definitely helped me kind of be in that like there's so many people at the Baltimore like area, like the Baltimore Comic Con. Like I need to go to that. I unfortunately don't know if I'll be able to make it this year, but lots of people in that area, definitely because of like you guys. So I'm super appreciative of that. And then like Jorge Medina, would Get Your Meds, so he was probably my first random just actual customer, which was so, when he first just kind of like bought a few stands like randomly, like nobody, he never even hit me up first. you know, I'm sure he saw my stuff first or whatever, but like there was no contact before he bought anything. And I was the first person that ever bought anything on my store. I was just like,
Oh,
oh, this is crazy. This is cool. And then like we started chatting and everything, and it's just been a trip ever since, man. But yeah, he's in Illinois. A lot of people in
mhm.
Illinois. Avena Comics, you know, he does a lot of stuff in Illinois, and he's been basically with me from the beginning as well. Him and George were actually kind of, I call him George, Jorge, were basically like kind of hit me up at like the same time. Like he ordered stuff, whereas Avena just kind of like hit me up through like a chat room that we were in. And yeah, man, it's just you know, and then you got everybody's at cons, so yeah, I mean, it's been wild, dude. Like in Florida, you know, and you know, and then when I think about it, like there's more of like I would say have more of a indie con, you know, like indie creator more on the East Coast, and on like on the West Coast around here, you know, I've worked with a lot of like shops around here just to kind of
Oh,
like with their signage, just kind of like some shops, you know, some of the shops they've had the same signage, you know, the same little
yeah,
new this week or whatever for the same last 20 years, and it looks like it, you know,
yeah,
so
yeah,
which is cool, and that's like the whole cool vibe of like a comic store. But you know, I think these days a lot of, you know, you have to appeal to people, and appealing to people is like, you know, just appealing with the eye and just being clean and, you know, sharp looking and everything like that. So yeah, I worked with a few stores like Arsenal Comics and Collector's Paradise and Cruising Through Comics. He was one of my first supporters as well. His whole store is decked out in WHAM stand stuff. Like, you know, like each section, that's if it's, you know, DC, it has like a huge DC, you know, 3D printed logo on it, and then like a couple small ones here. And like, so, yeah, you know, it's crazy. I've worked with a lot of stores on the West Coast, and, you know, like, you know, maybe even just people who have like large collections, and like they
mm,
really want to like, you know, kind of work on their area, or you know, like I, you know, almost I feel like almost like a boutique kind of like like interior designer for like comic rooms or something like that, you know. It's gnarly, dude. You know, it's fun, it's cool. Like it's seeing people's collect, dude. Some of these people's collections are just I couldn't even fathom having them, you know. So but
yeah,
like being able to like to like almost put their collection kind of in my hands, right, to like help them display it the way they want to display it. And also they have a lot of custom, so it's more or less they're doing, and I'm just kind of like a tool, if you will. I'm a tool, but like you know, getting them to use their, don't cut that, to
mhm,
get them to use the, you know, to like get them, you know, just to make, because that's, it's all visual, right? We all looking at comics, reading comics and everything like that, but it's all like we're creating visuals in our mind and visuals that we look at and everything every day. And when you walk by something, you know, like my room here, when I walk by it, it's cool, it's fun, it's eye catching, it's visual.
yeah.
So it's cool to just be a part of people's, like, you know, just display journey, I guess, you know, is one way of putting it, I suppose.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't con without one. And the few times I've like I forgot like a wham stand like in my car or something, it's like, well, now our display's gonna suck. It's just not gonna like it's not built without it, you know? It's like such a vital piece. And you know, it's kind of cool. Like your 3-year journey, like, do you feel like, you know, especially with Apollo, like Apollo came out and it's just been so fast and so much in the last, we're entering year 3 in July. And
Nice.
now I'm like you right now. I'm really trying to organize. I'm trying to look at things. We brought on like new editors that we're talking to right
Right.
now. We're doing all this stuff. And it's like now we have like a team too, which is making things
Cool.
possible, but it all happens so fast and so much. I'm barely like I'm trying to catch my breath a little bit with it. Do you
Right.
feel like it's been like that with you? Just how insanely fast everything popped off with you?
Yeah, you know, for sure, you know, and I think it definitely comes in waves. um you know, I think that's definitely one of the things that I've also have to come to term with, is that things come in waves. Like a new product, like in my head, I'm like, oh, dude, this product's dope. Everybody's going to be able to use it. Like, because in my head, I've designed it. I know exactly what it's using for, and like I know what its use cases and everything like that. And so many people can use it for that case. But I guess, you know, like them, you know, like in my head, I'm like, oh, people are going to buy it immediately, and then they don't, right? So it's like that wave of, then like 2 months later, all of a sudden everybody starts getting it. It's like, oh, okay, all right, well, it just takes time. And that was something that definitely was, you know, something I definitely needed to learn, and just it hit me, just was just like, you know, okay, like just be patient and just kind of like find that steady pace, if you will. But yeah, the way things move so fast, honestly, I maybe, I think I stopped pretty early on when like I realized some of these bigger names that I was, enjoying my work and just, liking it and I don't, maybe it was just because like I provide a wide range of solutions. Anybody I talked to when I was first introducing the ideas to and everything, everybody was super excited about it. So like, I don't know if I've never even like, it seems like it's still growing. It's,
Yeah.
maybe it's kind of slowed down here and there, but I feel like just the entire economy has kind of slowed down in general. But I've also, I've really, I would also say for a minute there, I was kind of like burnt out. So like, I think things kind of slowed down a little bit just in general, maybe
Yeah.
just my like social interactions and all that kind of stuff, just because of I don't take days off, like I don't know how to take a day off. It's pretty much, I'm up at 6 a.m. I take the pets, I do, everybody gets and then I start working and then it's done. I had dinner and then, I rest for like an hour and then I go to bed, so like that's how it's always been. So, I think I was able to maybe take a moment and yeah, like, things have happened so fast, but like, I was able to take a moment recently and just been like, all right, man, like, this is amazing. It's cool. It's been so like fast and just the people I've worked with. But yeah, no, I think, like as it's if you've made it 3 years, you're obviously doing something right. But yeah, there's always that next step, right?
Yeah.
And I think as you are in the 3 years, everybody's ready for that next step. And I don't know if it's necessarily bigger, but it's just maybe more professional in a way, I guess, more business oriented as opposed, and it's not like business oriented, like, oh, I'm just trying to take your money at this point. Like it's just like, I'm trying to do it like legitimately, like, so I can
Yeah.
grow and reach the people that, like not everybody's on social media and most of everything comes from social media for me or word of mouth, which is most of social media. So, I'm trying to reach those people that aren't on social media, reach more shops, more, just fine tune my selling, my efficiency, and making it so people don't have to wait 2 weeks or sometimes three if I get backed up or something like that. But I'm backed up because people are supporting me. So like it's hard for me to like I'm not upset about it. If anything, I'm more sad that I'm so sorry that you have to wait this long. I'm doing as much as I can, So but yeah, no man, it's it's cool. It's fun.
I totally get that. That resonates so much too, because like I mean the burnout part especially, like it's one of those things where you do have to take a moment back and be like,
Right.
okay, like, this is I asked for this. Like I know I did. Like,
Right.
like
For
this was
sure.
100% my doing.
Right.
And not taking days off, I mean, that's kind of what you need to do if you're gonna make some of these waves that I guess like we've made over the last few years and how quickly and infectious it gets. Because like I feel like once somebody gets onto something and I'm hyped about it and they're hyped about it, I'm just gonna be more hyped about it. And then the hype's gonna build. And
Right.
then
For
look
sure.
at bam, products are out, like items are happening. And you have to be a bit more professional business after a while just to be organized, really. And just to scale, because you can't do everything by
Exactly.
handshakes, can't do everything by like, oh, my memory, or I
Oh my
had a lot
god.
of energy when I agreed to this and I was super down. And it turns out
Right.
like a week later, I don't have that energy and time that I thought, but I still love what you're doing. It's one of those like
Yeah.
so much give and take that happens when you're doing comics, and that's just the history of comics. It's the biggest grind
Creatively,
of all.
like a
Creating, yeah.
creative industry. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like, and you have to keep up with trends and you have to keep up with feedback. And I
Right.
feel like the evolution of the Wham stand over the last 3 years, I've seen the different
Oh,
just
you have them.
alterations in design. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I have so many from your first ones to like a middle phase and then the most recent phase that came out. And I like seeing the tweaks. I like seeing it's more aerodynamic, you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
has like it can hold things a little better and all sorts of stuff. But that's
Mm.
lessons and that's feedback I'm sure you've gotten
Right.
and implemented. So how do you go about designing and coming up with the new designs or mapping them out to get 3D printed and like taking in this feedback to apply it? What's your
Right.
testing approach?
So a lot of the times, honestly, it's and I think I've actually tweaked the WHAM stand one more time, and I don't think I can tweak it anymore at this point. I think it's all like I think it's as tweaked as it's gonna be. So but yeah, so like honestly, I in my head, I feel like I do it as if somebody is sketching an image.
Ooh.
So like I create something, so like if I'm creating something that's functional, right, like I'm creating a comic stand, right, so like what's the goal, like what are we trying to do here? We're just trying to make the comic stand up. Okay, cool. So like I'll make a comic in like the 3D printed program, right? I'll make it like the same size and shape as like a comic or like a book or something, and I'll put it in that 3D world as if I want to look at it. Shit. Sometimes I'll even like I have done it. Like I designed the table, a person that was like a certain amount of height, or at least just put their head at a certain height, and like just thought about angles of like when I'm walking by and looking at a table, like what's the best angle for me to see a book to catch somebody's eye if they're tall, they're short, or whatever, so like I try to build like just simple little worlds so I can kind of envision it. And then, I'll just, so like that comic is essentially just floating in this real world. And then, so like, what do I need to do? I need to make that comic stand up. So like, I'll just put a box around it. And then I'll just be like, okay, well, it's covering too much of the comic. So let's just cut some of that away. Okay, well, that's just too much material. So let's just cut some of that away, and so like I feel like I just kind of sketch something. So like I'll work on something for maybe like 2-3 hours, come up with something that looks cool, and then I'll be like, all right, cool. Now and then I'll start a new one, and like maybe not start with that one, but like be like, okay, well that was a great idea. So let's restart from so like God, like the spinner rack that I'm coming out with now, I think is on its 10th iteration before I've even gotten it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I just kind of like it's more or less like, what's the goal? Let me just try to solve that goal, solve that issue, I guess. What's the issue? The book needs to stand up. Let's get it to stand up. All right, we'll go from there. But then I also like you said, like aerodynamic and stuff like that. Like it's kind of my way of like respecting the art that it's holding up. It's
Yeah.
like I don't, like even this model, the showcase and stash, it took me a minute to be okay with it like not being stylish. Like it's stylish, it's cool, it works, it is what it is, but it is what it is because it's more of a functional piece, right?
Yeah.
Like I'd rather something be stylish and like that's the stylish piece compared to that one, just
Yeah.
because it's my way of respecting the art that it's holding. It the piece shouldn't just be this rectangle slab of plastic holding up a beautiful piece of art, like it should be a piece of art itself, so like it's I try to do both, and it's tough sometimes, because one stand I'm working on right now is I think it'll be really, really cool when it eventually comes out, but it's like a really hard, it's like the concept of it is, I guess it's easy, it's out there and everything, but like adapting it to this comic is difficult, and it's just, but it's
Ooh.
also going to be like stylish and cool, and it's going to be super flat and easy to carry and all that stuff. So yeah, man, I'm just it's fun to just kind of sit there and like, sometimes after I work all day, or like, I'll be like, I have this kind of list of ideas and things I want to do, and if I kind of still have any, brain juice left at the end of the day, I'll sit there and just kind of like, as kind of have TV on in the background, just kind of like, I feel like I'm sketching these 3D designs, right? So I'll just kind of work with it. Eventually I find something, I'm like, all right, sweet, nice. Like last night, the stand I was talking about that's going to be super difficult. Well, I shouldn't show it actually. There's prying eyes and I don't like that. But so like I was just cutting up pieces of paper. And like I was doing it for like an hour and a half. I was folding pieces of paper. I was cutting pieces of paper. I was just like sitting there doing this. And after like an hour and a half, my fiance said, "What are you doing?" I was like, well, just arts and crafts or whatever, but like, but it's just kind of like me like sketching out an idea,
Yeah.
like trying to get this idea in my head, because sometimes, I don't draw very well. Like I can, maybe like, draw in a way where I can maybe like napkin drawing, right? Like
Mm.
I can get an idea across with like drawing, but like it doesn't help me,
Yeah.
so physical items, like sometimes I'll do things with cardboard, to kind of like sketch it in a way, if you will. So yeah, I don't, so I just I different methods, sometimes people will be like, oh hey, like in like with feedback, like, oh hey, this falls, or hey, this is covering this, or this is covering that, or whatever. I'll just be like, oh, okay. Like for instance, when I was making my first stand, the reason why the face of the original WHAM stands is so big, it's because the guy I was originally taking them to, when I would put the book and the stand in there, he'd like hit the back of the book hard,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like it was gonna fall over. I was like, is that like a thing? Like, or do people just like have these like really expensive books on like places where they're just gonna smack real hard like that? Like, what is
Yeah.
this, right? So that's why it was like that. And then like a year into it, I was like, I didn't people like that doesn't it's not a thing. Like it's not really falling over like that. So like
You're
I
not
don't
telling
really
me
need
that problem. Like, it's not the issue.
that's not a common problem that anybody really has. And later I realized this person I was working with at the beginning they had their own set of unique problems that didn't really align with everybody else's. So
Yeah.
that's a whole nother story that I don't even get into. But yeah, so like, it's just like whatever problems there are, like, like I learned from feedback that people would rather see more of the book and be careful around the book than it just flop around or whatever, but like it still serves its purposes, right? Like it's
Yeah.
big. If it falls, some people maybe just have a wobbly shelf and they'd rather have that or whatever, so yeah, the feedback is it's amazing. It's cool. It's great. I love that people share it. I love people that share their ideas, are willing to share their ideas. And I'm also like, I'm not gonna like, oh, that's my idea, I came up with it, like I always try to give people as much as credit as I could for their idea, or even if it's an idea that's like I said, I try to make much of the stuff I do as least expensive as possible. But if it's like a collaborative idea, I'm going to split the profit with whoever that person is. If I'm just the person who's just essentially making your idea, like I'm just, like that's most of it, we'll split it. Like that's fine with me. I don't if as long as I get, like material and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's cool, man. Everybody just brings their ideas, and I wish there was like 4 of me so I can get out all of these ideas, and in the allotted time in each day.
Oh yeah, you
It's not
being
enough
Dr.
time.
Manhattan is like the goal. You know what I mean? Just to split yourself apart and take care of it. I'd be set. If I can just do that for a week, I'd be so happy.
I'd be
You know what I
cool with
mean?
like
Like,
multiplicity, how they kind of get a
yeah,
little like less than each of them. Like that's cool, man.
yeah, that's
I'll
cool.
find a job for
I
them.
just need you to do this one task for
Right.
like 8 hours, like please.
Just
And
glue,
then
just glue it.
yeah,
That's all I
yeah.
need you to do. Well, maybe they shouldn't have glue in their hands. Super
They all
glue
have
kind of
skill sets. Yeah,
sticks.
it's all skill sets. Dude, that's
Nothing
so
sharp.
awesome though. Like it's so interesting because at the same time it's just like making comics. You know what I mean? Like it's just as difficult. You're going through a feedback loop. You're getting inspired by others and looking at issues out there and you're trying to readdressing them as your own. And that's what indie comics are, is like looking at what's out there and not being happy with what is being produced in a way and being like, oh, let me go improve the market a little bit. You know what I mean? And getting feedback from creators, learning how to like change things up a little bit. It's all in the cycle of creativity,
Right.
from comics to like creating this. And I love all the similarities that go within it because it's stuff that I don't think people realize when it comes to being creative, because then when I think about, if I ever saw you tabling at a con, it's so different from like other crafters too. Like you're creating a product that's going to benefit other comic creators versus like a crafty thing that's just going to like deter attention away from comic creators. You're in the environment with them, and I think conventions don't give businesses like you enough attention because they should be finding people like you and bringing them in because you're like a really big hitter I'm sure like if you go to a convention and can talk to indie creators and can bring them onto your scope, because that I feel is like really appealing. I feel like you're a center stage type of thing that should be out at these cons across the country, and it would benefit indie creators as a whole. People forget that we do, when you table, it's your personal pop-up shop. You
Right.
have to impress everybody. You have to have the highest scale of like intrigue to attract people over and hear your pitch and spend money on you, because people don't really go to cons with like indie money in their pockets typically. Like 98% of people I feel
And
like
if they
don't.
are, they're going because they're buying your art.
Yeah.
So you need
Yeah.
to sell yourself.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So
And you're elevating that. You're changing the game for it. I don't even know how. I mean, those clear stands you'd get from, Staples or whatever, like they just don't hold up the same too. I've dropped my Wham stands many a times.
right.
And very durable. And I've
Oh,
dropped
you know.
oh yeah, dude, yeah. That's the best part, is that they're like road worthy too. I've dropped all my old stands and they just shatter instantly. And I'm like, well, that's
That
25
sucks.
bucks that like for no
Right.
reason.
And it's before the
Um,
show, so I can't like go get another one. So that sucks.
yes, I'm at the show. Like that's when it
Right.
happens too. It's always when you're like
Fair enough.
loading in. It's never any other time.
Right.
Noegan said for customization, what is image format and resolution I can upload with an order? Oh, cool.
Oh, honestly, like I've worked with a picture from a T-shirt before. So like any crisp, clear image of whatever like you want as the magnet. There's some limitations because these are 3D printed. And that's one of the other things is adapting people's logos and their artwork to 3D printing has been like super cool. Like I get to kind of like learn people's styles, if you will, because in a way, when I make these, I trace their like artwork in a way, like in the 3D program to like make the paths essentially to like make a 3D object. To answer the question, really just a PNG or whatever clear image is I can, we can make it, of it. But I mean, I've, gosh, I don't have any examples of it right now, but like I've taken like images from like covers, and then my friend he's actually been helping me for, I think it's been a little over a year now, Raf Santos. He's in Brazil. We met from that game as well. We would, I would commission him because like, so I would make little game like strategy guides, like the old strategy guides that we would used to use for like playing games, and like how do I get through, and like N64 Mario, like there was no internet back then, so we had these books that you have to get right and look through,
Huge
right?
books. Yeah.
Yeah, right. They were super thick. They were fun. I mean, I would just look
Yeah.
through them just because they were fun, right? It's kind
Yeah.
of like looking through a picture book. Like I'm a fan of Mario, so I'm a fan of this book. But so I would make these strategy guides for like certain characters or certain maps or whatever, and I would kind of create, and like I created them in comic form, so like I was kind of designing, creating my own like little comic, but like, it was like a strategy guide. And so I would use Raf a lot to like use like for covers. Like I think I used him specifically for that Fantastic Four Mount Rushmore one. I think he drew Mount Rushmore and then like Daredevil in the front taking a picture or something like that. And then I think even the logo, I forgot what, I think it said Fantastic Four, but it was like the Nintendo. It was super cool. I think I have it buried somewhere. I gotta pull it out. But so yeah, I mean, those were all just kind of super fun. But so yeah, I used him, and he's been doing a lot of like the Raf. He's been doing a lot of the Wham blooms now. Wham blooms, the little magnets. They're Wham emblems. Wham blooms. Oh yeah, there you go. Xn still has copies. Nice, man. But yeah, man, so just like working with everybody's logo, like you really get to learn about people when they present you their there you go, the Nintendo power. You really get to learn their like style and just more about them when they present you their logo, and especially it's one that like an indie comic creator created themselves. Like so many of you guys, like you guys, the indie comic creators do, like make their own logo, create your own art, do the writing, do everything, so like seeing all those is like just, it's cool, man. It's fun, it gives me ideas. It's inspiring for me. It's some of them are challenging, but like it's challenging in a way that's just only making me better. And like, like some people's like perspectives of their art, like I would have never thought of this certain perspective, but doing that makes me better, makes me grow, so like it's the comic community. I've said it from day one, man, is amazing. There's so much, there's room for everybody's style, and everybody, there's a group of people, there's enough people out there to support you in whatever you want to do. Like if you want to sell stands, if you want to write comics, if you want to do this, whatever your style is, there's somebody out there that digs it. You just got to keep finding, you just got to keep going and find them, and there's somebody out there that's going to do it and is going to support you. And just, like just keep finding those people. And, if it's harder to find, well, just keep adapting and feedback, like try to listen to feedback and nobody's giving you feedback. Well, it's tough, but like, yeah, no, it's the comic community is amazing, man. Like it's from day one, it's been such welcoming experience for everybody. So
I feel like everyone's really lost on getting into comics, but once you get into comics, like you're pretty much in. Like, you know what I mean? Like you just like once you get there, it's you're in. You just got to figure out how to do it.
Right. Once you've just started, you're there, man. Like that's really what it is. Like just try, just start doing something, and you're there. You're in it. So yeah, it's cool.
It's the ultimate Buckaroo Banzai quote. Wherever you're going, there you are.
There you
That's
are.
it.
Right.
Exactly. I saw that movie recently. Sure. I love that. I love Buckaroo Banzai. Do you ever like this? I think we've slightly talked about this like behind the scenes too, but like you're creating all these also indie logos, which is awesome because it's kind of like free reign. Like we're giving you permission to create this logo, and we want you to do this for us. And so there's no issues in that sense. I don't think you've ever had an indie creator being like, you're using my logo to promote your stuff and it's wrong. Like I think all of us are just hyped you're doing it. How do you go around with like maybe copyright or trademarks on other bigger brands like from Marvel and DC and stuff like that? Do you encounter those issues? Are those issues like that? What is, a lot of people don't know. I don't know. Right. So the scope on that.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, so I do my best not to mass produce anything. So like I'm not out here making 100 of them, like trying to sell them as much as I can. Like that to me seems wrong. So most of the things that I do as far as like Marvel and DC and stuff like that, I try to do for customs. And honestly, I really only offer them to my members, and a lot of the times, honestly, like if Marvel said, hey, stop, like I would stop. Yeah. Obviously if Marvel says stop, I'd stop, but like if any indie creator, like there's been a few people that have like, either not directly told me to stop, but like on, if I'm selling it on like Whatnot or something, they would, hit it with like a copyright or something. And like, loud and clear, buddy, like I hear you, like I won't do it, so like I get it, like I get that's your work. I'm not going to do it. Like if it's, and that's like, honestly, most of the stuff I do is requested by people. So like, honestly, at the end of the day, I don't know if they've created it. I don't know if they're a part of it. I don't know. So if somebody's asked me to do it, I'm doing it. I kind of look at myself as like Kinko's. Like I understand there's kind of like this, like, like gray area or whatever there. And if somebody asks me to stop, I'll stop. I keep the best records I can. I would happily pay people to be like, like if I'll give you this amount of money, this is how many I've sold. Like most of the time people like think I've sold a whole bunch of them. I probably haven't sold as many as you thought I have. But like I also have done over like there's 800 available there's 800 models that we have done. Plus, of like, Marvel, indie, DC, and stuff like that. So, and, also like I've, Chuck Patton, he was the director of like animation for the 2003 Ninja Turtles. Cool. So essentially he was the art director. Like he did it all. Like he came up with that. I've tabled next to him a few times. We became friends. We've chatted a bunch. I had those, my turtle faces are essentially from the 2003, like version. So I was like, hey man, do you have a problem with this? Like, I don't think, I think I think he gets like publishing and stuff like that from it or whatever, but like, I don't think he necessarily owns it, but he's like, nah, I don't care. And more or less, like, it probably came down to, I'm only selling maybe 10.
Yeah.
So I'm making $30. I don't think they really care that I'm making $30. Like if I'm out there, like mass producing them and they go to every, Walmart and it's there. Yeah, that's a problem, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't do that with the like 10 printers I have. I can barely handle what I have now, So like, yeah. So like, like I said, I'm not out here to rip anybody off. I'm not here to exploit artists. I'm not here to do anything. Like I'm here to help promote them. So
Yeah.
if I'm doing something that I shouldn't be, tell me so I could stop, or so I could pay you. Like that's really what it comes down to. Like I'm not trying to rip anybody off, and I'm not trying to take anybody's ideas, anything. And from when I was a young boy, I always tried to be as original as possible, and like it showed in my fashion. Like I wore weird, plaid pants and like stupid hats, and people would look at me weird, but like people also looked at me weird because I was like big, so like I didn't care. I was just doing my thing, and like I felt good doing my thing, and I don't feel good doing other people's things, like like exploiting it, right, or taking it from them. Like anything would be more of a collaborative effort for me. So yeah, so like I'm always trying to do my own original thing. If I'm inspired by something, I'll hopefully say it, and if I don't, maybe I forgot. I'm 40. I forget things, like so. I never hit new age was going to hit me like a ton of bricks, like it has when I turned 40 recently. So, yeah, man. I do like I said, I do my best not to like rip anybody off or steal anybody's ideas or anything. So, if I'm doing something that I shouldn't be, let me know. If not, I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just let me know.
Honestly,
Tell me to
like
stop.
send the cease and desist. You know what I mean? If that's the case,
You
we're
could just send me a
doing.
message. You don't even have to go
Yeah.
that far. You just be like, "Yo,
I
bro, stop."
I
I'd
was
be
thinking
like,
the bigger heads.
"Gotcha."
Yeah. I was
Right.
well, we were talking about like with Apollo, we're doing some parody books, and like one of them I'm doing is like a Gene Simmons Spawn parody and
Okay.
whatnot. And it's like, well, I mean, if I get in trouble, then just if I got a letter from Todd or from Gene Simmons saying it's cease and desist, I'm like, that's kind of an honor. Like I'm kind of hyped to have that. Like more than I know, Sebastian jumped up and
Right.
he paused until
Yeah,
I
man, I want to
love
be a
him.
part of
Like
this, man.
yeah. He's like, hey, where's my camera? Where are my questions? You love the WHAM stand, Sebastian. He's happy as hell right now.
Probably
But
smells like gas.
straight up. But it's one of those things. Like, I mean, it's keep doing it, and it seems to work. And I can't imagine like how I can't wait to see where this goes in 5 years, in 10 years, when you're hitting these landmarks and these anniversaries. Like the track you're on right now and the scalability behind it and the trust you have behind the community that seems to also be growing very consistently as well. I think we're all just going to love it more, and we're just going to keep promoting it more, and like getting you in our Kickstarters is always so much fun because we always get the people who always just, at least order one, but then you have all the WAM stand owners getting emblems that you're
Right.
adding on to Kickstarter. So it's just such a key thing to growing your brand and promoting yourself and promoting you too. And it's the full circle of life with, promotion and indie comics. You do this for me, I do that for you. And it
Right.
just goes on and on forever. Is there any product that you have not gotten to do that you're really itching to just like, I wish I had the bandwidth to get this one thing out, or this industry that you're trying to dive into that you really haven't approached yet?
Yes. So many. um One that comes to mind is something for people who like sell on whatnot. And it's like a station.
Ooh,
Uh what that station is, I don't know. But like something to where, like if
like
you
you
just
could
have
display
X
it to
amount of
view
space
it.
huh?
Like you could display your stuff so they could view it better on whatnot and promote it in
Yeah,
a sense.
right. So like it just like no matter what, if I just have X amount of space, I can put on a show. Because I
Nice.
know sometimes space, and even just when I set up for my own shows, it's tough. Like, so the people who do it and do it well and like have good setups and like visually good do better, I think, and it's also, I think it's, um, easier for the person putting on the show to like have a nice setup and just efficient setup, you know. So that's definitely one that I'd love to do. We like what that consists of. Basically, just if I have a such space, I could put on a show. Other than that, man, I need to get more into like vinyls and like people selling that. Like I need to get more to like zine, people who do zines and stuff.
Calls it my beard, dude. He always wants my beard.
He's like, hey man, let me get that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely want to like, kind of get into more like industries because like these books hold a lot more things, magnets, all that stuff, so like the sky's the limit. I see it. There's so many different ones, like cars, like toolboxes, tools, holding tools. There's so like there's so many different like ideas that I have, or like cards, like there's so many more things for cards that I need to do, that I have ideas, that I have little sketch ideas that I've gotten down and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, like this is just growing so fast. Like I might be doing stuff for like shops a whole lot bigger scale, so like I'm just kind of riding the wave, man. As far as like getting into more industries, yeah, I'd love to do more stuff with vinyl records. As far as the product goes, after this kind of launch, after I feel more at ease now, I feel like I got this like a monkey off my back that I've kind of more or less finished this next generation of spinner rack. Basically, somebody told me, they're like, "Hey, man, I haven't gotten the spinner rack because it's bulky."
I can kind of see that.
Right. Yeah. I never thought until somebody said it, right? And then he said it, and I was like, okay. Kind of irritating, but all right, I get it. Like not like irritating and like I don't like it, just like I don't like that. But like so like 4 days later, I came up with this idea, so it's like and then like that and from that I was able to expand it further. Like the generation now doesn't have the capabilities that the next generation does, as far as like stacking and just different media and stuff like that. So I'm really pumped for this. So like I think now that I've gotten this done, I can like I feel really a lot better with the like handful of products I have now, like ready to go. So yeah, man, no, I think other than getting into vinyl records and like more of a setup for like whatnot, yeah, I feel like that's pretty much it. But like, I don't know if you can see it here. I don't think you can. Yeah, you can. Sorry, I was trying to move my head. My camera's in the way. But like this is slat wall stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I just finished this stuff. This stuff's awesome. I'm having a real good time with that. It's just like you can change it ever so freely, so quickly, right? So yeah, that's like kind of the next generation stuff that's coming out. So yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like right now I've stretched as far as I can, and now I need to like just kind of like make it more user friendly in a way. Yeah. Like I know what these products are used for. Now I need to make it easily. I need you to know what it's used for. So that's I think my next step.
And then just put it out there in action and just keep on getting that feedback and, upgrade this, upgrade that, little tweaks here and there. And I think that's what made you successful for the last 3 years. And I think that's going to continue making you successful is that contact you have, what you offer the community. And it's awesome. I can't believe that, and even this interview, it's been like such a long time coming of like a friendship developing, a partnership, a business partnership developing, and just communication and just knowing that like, over the time I've been doing comics, it's been just such an ease to like work with you and do all this and set these things up. And just, it brings, comics are so stressful and hard and tiring. It's great that I could just shoot you a message like, oh, look at this. This is fucking brilliant. Like, this is beautiful. Like, look at this. Like, this is everything I wanted. And so, dude, it's insane. So thank you. Like, thank you so much for everything you do for us, for me, for just the community in general. Do you have any shout outs you want to give as we wrap this up a little bit, or anything you want to just promote right before we sign off?
No, man. I mean, everybody just follow me on Instagram. That's kind of where I'm most active on. Keep an eye out for a handful of new products I've been launching. I just like did the adjustable stand, so like either a giant omnibus or like a small comic book or whatever. I finished prototyping it, but yeah, I got a whole bunch of like new stuff coming out, so just come follow me over there. That's where I'm the most active. As far as shout outs go, man, it's just Apollo City Comics, dude. Like, you know, you got Brandon, you and Comics Wellspring, like all you guys over there. Like, I think you guys are a vital part of my origin story and my growth and everything. So, you know, just many thanks. You know, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. I know you are a big part of that driving force, so I very much appreciate it, Brandon.
Oh, dude, thank you.
And thank you for having me.
Of course, dude. And it means a lot. And before we sign off, we'll kind of let everyone know we still have a few days left to help on the panels Kickstarter. We're right there. We're right about to get funded. I'm so hyped. I just really want this to end. So help us get funded. And guess what? While you're helping us get funded, you should actually scroll down and check out this really sick WHAM stand that we have for it as well. I have it in the background too. I was just using it at a show I was at this weekend, and it's so sick. It's so beautiful. And this is like the newest version of the stand I have, and I love it so much because just the little nicks, the little upgrades go a long way. So make sure you guys check out the CWS Kickstarter going right now. Panels, the Comic Creators Guidebook, everything you need to know about making comics. It's aimed at a younger audience, but any creator out there will benefit from you, I promise. But aside from that, dude, this has been a blast, a pleasure. What's your IG? WHAM Stand. Just look up WHAM Stand.
You can find me WHAM Stand at WHAM Stand on pretty much any platform. It was never taken, so it's great. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, that's what a score. Yeah, I felt the same way when I was like, oh sweet, like got this set. And also we have some links at the bottom as well for you guys to check out if that's easier to find and look up. But dude, thank you for tonight on Memorial Day and setting this up. And I'm so hyped because we're going to talk about new WHAM stands. Apollo's about to do a big order with you, so we all have some. So I'm really hyped. You'll be working on a lot of logos.
I'm excited about what you and I are working on too, man.
Oh, dude, yeah. And we will maybe even do an episode to announce that. We have something in the background where we're talking about stuff. And
yeah, man, it's something you're an expert at and something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So
yeah. And I was actually just talking to a team member about this earlier today too, because he'd be perfect for designing stuff. But that's another topic somewhere else in a different conversation, not live. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. It means the world to us. And don't forget to tune in Thursday night for another episode of Spilled Ink, where we'll be drawing and making comics. And we have a pack cast this Thursday, like 4 people. I don't even remember them all. So tune in, keep up with the Instagram, and don't forget to back panels. And don't forget to follow WHAM Stand and upgrade your table setup. And with that, thanks for hanging.